Then we got out another sale 5 minutes after that. 30 seconds later, that little Shopify cha-ching goes off again. I'm like, dude, what is going on?
Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing well and hope you're staying safe during these difficult times. Nathan Chan here, CEO and publisher of Foundr magazine, and we're in lockdown. It's March 26th, and I'm doing some interviews from my home, so you're going to get to see kind of behind the scenes how it all looks. I've got the gear here and stuff like that, and we're blessed and humbled by Dylan Mullan, who is the founder of a company called Happy Skin Co. Has had incredible growth, really smart guy. And we're going to talk about everything on, how he started this incredible business, how he's been able to grow it at such a fast pace, and everything in between, and all the lessons that he's learned. So, I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope your family is staying safe and you are doing okay right now. We're here to help and support however we can. We're trying to put out as much content as we can to help you guys right now. So the first question I ask everyone that comes on is, how did you get your job?
My job at this business. Like, what was my path to get here?
Yeah. How'd you find yourself doing the work you're doing today?
Yeah, it's actually a little bit of an interesting story. So all the way through school, I probably from like year 7 or 8, that early on, I always thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I guess it was just the idea of, wearing a suit and working in the city all day. And as a young teenage boy, kind of thinking that was the cool thing to do, or that's the respectable job. So all the way through school, I was really good. I was focused on business and legal and all that sort of thing, and got into uni. I had early entry into that, which was cool. I was stoked. Literally got there 6 months in, I was done. Like maybe 2 weeks into the course, I was like, this is not me. I was so unhappy. I hated it. I felt like it was almost destroying my soul to be there. I thought that for the last like 5-6 years, this is what I wanted to do. And I got there and I'm like, this isn't me. I can't do this. So I deferred uni. I was meant to go back the next year and just do the business side of the degree. But in that 6 months I had off, I thought, look, I was so done with that whole experience at university. I'm like, what's the opposite thing I can do to that? What's just going to be something that isn't what I should do or what I think is going to be a good job long term? What's just going to make me have the most fun? So I enrolled in an acting course of all things, and I did that just for fun, and I really enjoyed that. And one thing led to another. I ended up spending like 4 or 5 years as an actor. So full-time at an acting studio, acting college, got an agent, audition, filmed some things. And it got to the point maybe like 3 or 4 years ago where I was really enjoying that. But I just knew too many really great actors that, 30s or 40s and still had to work second jobs like at a bar or as a cleaner. And I just thought, look, I wanted to take more control of my life. I got pretty close to a couple of big roles, and then you wouldn't get it because, you have the wrong hair color or you don't quite look like the dad. And I just thought, look, I love this, but for now I need to do something that I can take more control of my own destiny. And for me, that was always business and e-commerce. I found like that was going to be the best path. You didn't need a whole lot of upfront income or capital to start that. So I got a job in the corporate space and spent probably a year or two just like living on Instagram, living on YouTube, listening to podcasts, building Instagram pages just for fun, just learning how it all worked. And then that was the beginning of me really opening my eyes to the world of business and e-commerce. And it was something I didn't even think was possible when I was at school. I didn't even know it was an option. When I thought of what's a business owner in school, it was you have a cafe or a gym or a tradie. I didn't even know about e-commerce or all the other opportunities out there. So that's kind of how I got to where I was today. It definitely wasn't a straight path. I definitely wasn't the kid that knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. Even though looking back, I probably had a lot of qualities that would be suited to what I'm doing now, but by no means was it a straight path. I kind of fell into this and realized I really love this. It's my passion. You can be creative. You can make things happen. You can build things. So yeah, I think I found it kind of just by stumbling through life, and eventually the right things pop up and then you grab onto them. So that was me.
Yeah, I see. So you said you were kind of effectively getting paid to train. You're working at a company, another e-commerce company, and you learnt the ropes, or?
Well, yes and no. So I was working for a media company at the time, and my job was to teach small business owners like hairdressers, tradies, things like that, how to advertise. At start, it was just the principles of advertising and marketing. We were partnering with like literally newspapers, radio stations, selling old school traditional stuff. But through that, I kind of learned the principles of marketing. And then later on in my time at that company, I actually got put in the team to work and actually start building businesses with Facebook. I only did that for a couple of months, but when I went through that time, I was traveling to Chatswood. That's like 2 hours from where I am. So I had 2 hours on the train in the morning, 2 hours in the train in the afternoon. And I was constantly listening to podcasts on Instagram, figuring out hashtags, figuring out what's trending, what's not. So it wasn't just at that job. I had so much time in the mornings and the nights around that where I just got obsessed with learning and education. And even when I first started, I didn't know I was going to start an e-commerce business. I was just like, okay, Instagram, this is a cool thing. I want to learn how that works. And that was probably like 5 years ago now. And obviously nothing like the level of what you did with Instagram accounts. I was growing things to like 20, 30K. And then, okay, what else can I find? What's a new niche? And I just learned that way. And that was it. Started listening to a lot of podcasts about e-commerce. And then I realized, well, this is a thing. So, yeah.
So was your first business Happy Skin Co? Yep.
Yeah.
So when did you launch?
Business. Yeah.
So when did you launch?
We launched, so I actually started this business with a mate. We launched in April 2018, so almost exactly 2 years ago now. We've probably spent about between 9 months and a year from when we had the idea for what Happy Skin Co was going to be, or we knew we were going to be in the beauty space until we launched. And that period was just grind. Like we worked our jobs, we'd get home 7 p.m. to midnight, as many days a week as we can, 3, 4, 5 days a week. We'd work from 7 p.m. to midnight, working on the business, growing our business, putting business plans together, trying products, failing, learning, getting some things right. At some points, we're like, dude, how are we going to do this? There was so many times that there was obstacles, and we're just like, you just stuck there for like a week, 2 weeks, and you're like, well, how are we going to get past this? And what I realized since that period, like we had two people at that time who both really wanted to get through it. We had kind of similar skill sets, but also we were good at other things. So we always found a way through. And I've seen so many people since then that come to me for advice, whether they're friends or friends of friends. And I see people hit these obstacles and they let it completely derail their plan, and they never follow through and never end up launching. So I think it was good at that time. We had two people working together for the launch of the business, which was good. But it wasn't always easy, for sure. The process to getting where we are today wasn't easy.
Yeah. So let's rewind that. So you started working on the product in 2018, April 2018. Or was that when you launched?
That's when we launched. Yeah. So probably mid to early 2017 is when we actually started working on it.
And you said there were two people. What did you mean by that? What you mean, you and your business partner?
Yeah. I started the business with a mate. So we were together for probably the first 9 months, 12 months of the business. And now he's doing his own thing. He's in e-commerce again. He's took time off. He was going to do something else, and then he ended up thinking, nah, look, I'm going to stick with e-commerce. So he's got another really great brand at the moment that he launched in hair care space at the moment. But it was two of us then, and literally the first core team of Happy Skin Co was me, my old business partner, my little brother who still works for us doing all the orders, and his mum. Literally working out of the home, packing orders, testing products. It was really bootstrapped from the start. Yeah,
I see. So what was interesting to me is you guys have had incredible growth. When you guys pitched us the story, it was 0 to 20 mil in 2 years annual revenue. That's pretty impressive, even for an e-commerce business. So I'd love to unpack that and go a little bit deeper, but let's talk about the product. How did you find out about the product? I've definitely seen it around. And I'm really curious why that particular product, and tell us about the product.
Yeah. So the whole, look, we didn't try and reinvent the wheel. We didn't try and do anything groundbreaking. We sat back and analyzed, okay, what's some really successful e-commerce brands that have launched over the last few years, and what have they done? Obviously, look at what happened with the teeth whitening space. Again, it was previously done in a dentist chair, had to go in, book appointment, was quite expensive. Look at what happened with fake tan that used to be done. You go to the beauty salon and they'd spray in one of those tents, and then brands come along and it's all at home. So I thought, if you can take a product or a service that's generally done in a salon or a clinic session that may be a little bit inconvenient to book, maybe might be a little bit costly. If you can put that into an at-home product and still achieve the same, if not very similar results, you're going to really position yourself with a good chance to win. And we wanted to do something that hadn't really been done before as well. So the way we came across this was literally, it has nothing to do with our product, but we saw literally it was some drop shipper, some random ad, was barely written in English, and it was for some shaver that had like a little light on it. That was it, just so you could see the hairs that you were trimming. We saw that and we're like, what about this? Is it possible to get like a laser hair removal handset for at home? And we probably spent 3 months trying to create one ourselves. Like we were talking to like product engineers, and that got really weird. Like we're looking at different technologies like burning the hairs and all this weird stuff, until we finally found a manufacturer who's doing something similar to what we wanted. Yeah. So we spoke to them in China, but it took a while to find that path. It wasn't clear, okay, I know where I'm going. I'm just going to look straight to a manufacturer there. But we got a couple that were doing something similar, and we told them, okay, we wouldn't be happy with what that is. We want to change a few things. And it was essentially like a tender process. They all sent us like their best product, their best final packaging product, rates, deals, and their like processes who could work with us if we did scale. And we got down to one, and we've been with them for years, and they've been really great. We completely redesigned our brand new handset at the end of last year with them. So it's been a successful relationship.
Yeah, wow. So talk to me winding back. So you and your old business partner and sounds like some family and friends were helping early days, picking and packing and that kind of stuff, as you do. So you didn't have a 3PL? Like you just...
Yeah, no 3PL, still don't. To this day, everything is sent from our warehouse in Sydney. Literally at the start, our whole first order was 110 units of stock, right? 10 of them was to send to influencers and 100 was to sell. That was it. So it was actually my mate's living room. We had the stock that hadn't been sold on one side, we had the printer on the other side, and in the middle was like the where we packed all the orders and did everything, right? So that was it, literally 110 units. Now we've sold like well over 100,000 in like 2 years. So it went really quickly. Didn't see it coming. Like we always believed this was going to be a winning product, but to think we would go from like, in my first year, put it this way, my whole goal for 2018 was to be able to quit my full-time job and work on Happy Skin Co. full-time. That was my whole goal. We probably ended up hitting like 10 million revenue in our first year. We had to quit our jobs after 2 weeks. We had our first full-time staff like 2 months later. We had an office and a warehouse not long after that. So it just blew up.
Yeah, wow. Talk to me about, like you said, that you believed in the product. You thought it was a winning product, but you didn't think it would do that well. Like why did you believe it was a winning product?
Well, if you just look at, for the reasons I listed before, like if you can create a product that's going to give people more time or more money, like convenience and affordability are massive things. And then just in our market research, which was like probably nothing crazy, like maybe 100 to 200 people, every girl that we spoke to between the ages of 20 and 30 had either was currently doing laser hair removal or had done it in the past. I'm talking 95% at least had done laser hair removal before. And if they hadn't done it, they either stopped because they couldn't keep up with their sessions, they couldn't get the time, or they couldn't be bothered. It was too expensive. It was painful for some. There was just so many areas of opportunity that we thought, okay, some people are going to be loyal to their laser clinics, that's fine. But for a lot of people, we're going to solve a problem and make it more affordable and accessible. So we knew it was going to be big. We thought it would take people time to get used to this new idea, this new concept. But literally, like from the third day we launched, we had our first influencer post, and probably from then it's been busy since our third day.
Yeah, wow. So, talk to me. Yeah, like what made it take off in even the first week? In the first couple of weeks, what did you do? Was it the 10 influencers? Were you strategic with the 10 that you worked with? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So the first day, no sales. I was going to bed it was about 11:30 at night, just getting into bed. First day, nothing had happened yet. We're probably spending maybe like $50 to $100 on Facebook ads that day, but that was it. Just about to go to bed, I get a phone call, 11:30. It's my mate. He goes, dude, we just got our first sale. I'm like, what? That's crazy. I'm like, all right. He's like, come over. I'm like, all right, sweet. I jump out of bed, went over his house, and he's like 5 minutes away. We cracked a bottle of champagne, and then we're just like, dude, see, this proves the concept. People are going to want this. This is a product that's going to work. We're like, this is awesome. Went across the road to the park across the road from his house, and we always sat out there and just talked about what's going to happen and kind of visualized it, what the process is going to be like, those big milestones. And like, sweet, went back to bed. Second day, again, probably spending like $100 or $200 on ads. No sales. We're like, that's all good. Like, we knew this was going to be a process. We've got to be patient, persistent. It'll pick up. The third day we had our first influencer. It was about 7:30 p.m. at night. I do martial arts 3 nights a week. I was just about to leave. He calls me. He's like, dude, we just got a second sale. I'm like, dude, no way. That's awesome. We're chatting. I can't remember what we're saying. We're like little kids. Then we got another sale 5 minutes after that. I'm like, dude, what is going on? And then literally 30 seconds later, that little Shopify cha-ching goes off again. I'm like, that's it. I'm coming over. I'm not going to training tonight. I go over to his house. We're like, cracked another bottle of champagne, obviously. Every time we get a sale, we're high-fiving, got our laptops there, we're working. And like, our whole initial investment for the business was 20,000. We probably made in between 7:30 and midnight, we probably made like $7.5 grand. Just that quick. So that influencer was our first kind of strategic thinking of influencers. So what it was, our first influencer was from, I think it was Bachelor in Paradise. We sent one to him, not even knowing he was on the show. And then by the time we posted, it had been like an extra, the time we launched, because things got pushed back, it had been like an extra 6 weeks from when we first hit him up, and he'd grown like 30, 40K since then. And he still was cool. He was so cool about it. He's like, I'll still do it for free just for the product. He posted it and it worked. Like, shit, dude, like, this is awesome. So I literally hit up every single person I could on that show. They were like, yeah, we'll do it for this, we'll do it for this. And we just work with probably like anyone who would accept, anyone who would say yes. We work with everyone. And at that point, because it was such a new product, if we were to put our product in front of people, it was always the first time they seen it. So we were making a lot more money back than we were paying them. So that allowed us to, whatever money we got, we put all of the money into stock. So like, we ordered 110, and then we saved all the money, ordered 200, then 500, then 1,000, and it just kept growing from that. We didn't take $1 out of the business for like the first 6 months. And when we did quit our jobs, we like put budgets together and we're like, okay, what's the minimum we can pay ourselves just to get by? It was like $500-600 a week, and we just wanted to make sure we could finally catch up and get ahead. We're actually behind in the orders for like the first 3 or 4 months. Like, there was just that much demand coming through. We're sending like sorry cards and little gifts to our customers saying, look, it's coming. It'll be an extra week. Thank you for your support. It took us, probably 3 or 4 months to finally catch up in stock and be ahead rather than chasing.
Yeah, no, interesting. And I think that's smart. You're just reinvesting for growth, and now you just keep on building. So one thing that you told me, which I thought was interesting, was you said when it comes to market research, you only spoke to 100 to 200 people. Why did you do that? And how did you reach out to them? How did you find them? What kind of questions were you asking them? Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I was a little bit obsessive. Everyone that we both spoke to that we knew, or friends of friends, or met at a party, or we stopped in a shopping center and they had a friend with them, I just asked, what's your experience with laser hair removal like? It was just that. It was just in person. And then we did a couple legit, this is super basic things, Survey Monkeys, did them, boosted them, got as many people as we could to fill out those forms. But like, that was important to a degree, but also like, I just trusted my gut at that time. I just knew it would work. I trusted that as long as it was effective, that was the first thing. Once we got the product, once we went through all the legal things and operational things and made sure that was all good, next step was, okay, if this works, it's gonna take off eventually. We just need it to work, and it worked. Tested it with a bunch of people before we launched, and like literally did it the first week, didn't really see much of a difference. Literally from the second week, I was like, whoa, you can see it. But they didn't tell us straight away. They wanted to do it for a few weeks until they came back with their results. And I saw the results after like the first 4 weeks, and they took photos every time. And it's just like, dude, this is gonna be big. So there was a lot of work involved, and that was our kind of research. But even if we didn't do it, I probably would have trusted my gut and gone with it.
So that's awesome, man. So look, we're actually doing this interview. We were supposed to do it in Melbourne. We were supposed to do it in the studio. We're really excited. And unfortunately, look, it's a crazy time right now. And yeah, anybody listening or watching, I hope you're staying safe and your family's okay and you're doing okay. So, yeah, basically we're in lockdown right now. It's March 26th, Australia time. So, um, I'd love to know, like, how is everything going in these past couple of weeks? Like, have you really been affected from, everything that's happened with the COVID-19 virus? Like, has sales been affected? And I'd love to talk about what you're doing now. And like, yeah, like you talked about your marketing principles. I'd love to hear about that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first way it impacted us was more of like, we're still a small team. We have like 10 people that work here. The first thing, like operationally, that affected us, we're just like, whoever doesn't need to be here, let's get them working from home. So it's literally me, our operations coordinator, and one guy downstairs doing all the orders every day. That's it. Everyone else, our marketing team, our finance manager, everyone that doesn't need to be here is working from home. So that was the first thing. And then maybe 2 weeks ago, we had a weekend. I think the coronavirus just started to get some more attention. It started to become a real thing in Australia. And we had a really quiet period of about 3 days, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're like, okay, it is going to start to affect us. But weirdly enough, I think it's because look, we are an at-home product. We are that solution that you can use at home. Obviously, the clinics and salons are all shut in Australia indefinitely. The last couple of weeks have actually been really like stronger than usual for us. We've had a lot of people who are reaching out with questions that are coming from a market that may not have been interested before. So we're actually doing okay. Again, we're just making sure, again, things change so quickly with the situation right now. We're just making sure we can do everything we can to support our customers, to support people with questions, and even people that aren't our customers, if they have any, and they just need to chat, whatever it is, we're here to do the best we can. We're very grateful that when we don't have a business that's completely blown to pieces from this. So we're very grateful at that, and we want to try and give back the best way we can. But at the moment, we're okay in terms of numbers because we are that product people use at home. So we're just going to keep focusing on hopefully adding value and bringing things into people's life that can make just that little difference. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing because I know for many people listening right now, a lot of our audience are just about to launch something or they're early stages in their journey and they might be being affected or they're thinking about launching something. What would your take be there?
Yeah, it's hard because I've got some friends, a friend that literally on Monday launched his e-commerce site, doing like male, like hairstyling products. And I said, look, dude, I wouldn't invest too hard. It's difficult. Like you don't want to tell people just to wait 6 months. They've been eager to launch. I've actually got another project that I'm working on with a business partner that I was meant to launch in the next 2 to 3 months, which may get pushed back to a late August, early September. So I think you just have to play the market how it goes. You can always try. Again, no one's been through this before. It's certainly the first time me as an entrepreneur has ever been through any sort of financial crisis. So I don't want to act like I've got all the answers for people. I just say do your best, try, but be prepared to scale back and just manage what you can. That's it, really.
And it really depends the industry.
Yeah.
It really depends the industry because there's somewhere, like you said, it's perhaps opportunity, but then there's others where it's just a terrible time,
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah.
Okay, look, thank you for sharing, man. So let's talk about you said something interesting how you learnt some core marketing principles or basic marketing principles in your early days. What are they?
Oh, look, these are super different, like super simple things. Like this is just the first time I'd ever been like put in the marketing mind frame. Like I never thought I was going to be a marketer or an entrepreneur. Things just like repetition builds brands. Something as simple as that. Like, okay, if I'm going to put an ad in the paper once and it doesn't work, I'm never going to do it again. It's like no repetition builds brands. You need to be there consistently in front of your customer's face. They're not going to purchase necessarily the first time they see it. Things like that. Things like if you put out an ad and you've got every single value prop you want to say and there's so much text and you think that's it, that's the perfect ad, I've said everything I want to say, that's probably not the best ad to do. If you can put an ad out and it's just relying on a few key emotional elements and you think maybe it doesn't say enough, that's probably the ad that's the best one to go with. If it makes you feel uncomfortable and a little bit nervous, potentially that is the best one. Just super basic things like that. It's the first time I'd ever been in that marketing mind space. So, yeah.
What has been more powerful for you? I assume the biggest channels for you would probably be a combination of influencer marketing, Facebook ads, PPC, and also email marketing. Would that be correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so in the early days, it was influencers for sure was the biggest thing. We went through in probably the first 12 months of our business, we went really, really, really hard on influencer marketing. We worked with as many really great influencers as we could. Again, at the start, you start a business, and this is one piece of advice for people that are starting out. I see people send me a message that say, "Hey, man, like I'm struggling to get influencers to buy in or to work with me. I've sent like 10, 20 DMs and no one's replied." I'm like, dude, at the start, we had to send 100 DMs to get like 3, 4 replies. So now it's a lot easier to get replies once you build a bit of a brand. But at the start, it was just pure numbers game. Hustle as much as you can. At the start, we're literally working with anyone who, look, if they had the right demographics for us and they weren't a bad person, we would work with them. We just wanted to get our product in front of as many faces as we could in our core markets, which was Australia and the US. And that was it. Since we grew, we're a lot more selective with the influencers we work with. We want to make sure they are the right fit for our brands. And the moment it switched over from influencers being our main source of sales to Facebook ads, which it has been for like the last year and a half, was probably our first Black Friday. So Black Friday 2018, that was the day our business kind of changed forever in terms of our numbers. So we were probably spending a couple thousand a day on ads before that. We'd never really pushed past that. It was a nice little buffer. We always had, 20, 30, 40 sales per day. We were super stoked with that. Then we'd have influencers come in and we'd see these big spikes, right? That was kind of how we ran until we first really figured out Facebook ads. And first time we tried to push budget, build up for the weeks leading up to that. A lot of view throughs, a lot of website visits, so we could retarget them. And then since then, like for that week and a half there, we're probably spending 5 times our usual budgets. And then since then, we kind of learned how to scale Facebook ads and how to grow. And we've never been the same since that day. So since then, Facebook has definitely been the biggest driver of sales for us. Influencers now play more of a brand role. So we use them for our branding, making sure we're partnering with the right people, the right amount of times. We don't need to work with everyone every week anymore. And then, yeah, of course, like email and PPC fall through the back of that to do as much as we can through those channels.
Yeah, I see. Makes sense. So what kind of ROAS do you guys look for at what kind of scale are we talking?
Yeah, well, look, I've chatted to a lot of friends, and there's a lot of different business models. Like I know some businesses that might be in fast fashion that need like a 10 to a 15 ROAS to be profitable because of their margins. We're a lot lower than that. We can kind of cruise well below that point. I won't give out our exact ROAS, but as long as we're bringing back more than we're bringing in, then we're usually fine. We don't have to go too aggressive. We just like to see sustainable numbers. So obviously that first 9 months of that hyper growth, you're just doubling your numbers every single month. And now that we're more of a mature business, we find growth in other areas, and we just try and make sure we're building slowly and holding the markets that we're at the moment. And a big part of our next phase of growth is actually going to be those new products that we launch.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about that. More SKUs,
Yeah,
raising LTV and also average order value. But
for sure.
before we move to that, I'd love to talk about, there's a lot of gurus out there that talk about Facebook ads and how easy it is, and all these agencies, and it's very difficult to know who to trust, or do you do it yourself? Love to get your take on that, mate, because there's a lot of people that might have a brand and they think that, or they've got that belief that, Facebook ads is my cure and that's going to solve all my problems. And then you just burn cash, man. Like, seriously. And I know you obviously know what I'm talking about, yeah?
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. Like, there's so many gurus out there, and it's funny. At the start, you're kind of open to them. Like, you get that DM or that email. You're like, oh, maybe they can deliver what they're saying. And like, there's so many people that overpromise and just can never deliver on anything close to that. So we learned that pretty quickly. We almost do everything ourselves. Since we've got to this point, we do sometimes partner with some like media buy agencies that support us in that form, because they're almost a full-time job with a full team on them ourselves. But everything core to our marketing strategy comes from in-house. I'd just be careful. I would definitely not as well. One thing I see people, hey, I'm just starting a business. What's a really good Facebook ad agency? Who should I go with? The one thing I would say is fair enough. If you don't want to do your Facebook ads long term, you can go to an agency, but don't go to an agency until you've learned how to get your ads profitable yourself, even at a smaller scale. Don't go there and have no answers or no idea what to do. Get to the point where you can profitably spend on Facebook ads to a certain point, and then say, okay, I understand that enough now. I know what works for us. Let me take it to an expert who can take us to the next level. But like you said, going and just here's my money, random stranger who said I can do all these things for you. Definitely don't do that, because you need to be able to keep them accountable. And there are a lot of people that just can't deliver what they say. I'm sure you know about that a lot more than me as well. But just be careful, be smart with your money in the early days. Your marketing budget is crucial in that first 6 to 12 months. Like it's critical. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think you still just need to understand the basics of Facebook ads, even if you don't do the media buying. Like, I'm not a media buyer by trade, but I understand it enough to work with media buyers. Like, and I know my numbers. Like, what kind of ROAS are we going to look for so we can be profitable? Or if we're not going to be profitable, okay, how do we break even on the front, and then what does it look like on the back end? Like, just knowing those unit economics and knowing what like lookalikes audiences are, and like retargeting and all that side of things, and really being able to hold your media buyer accountable. What angles are working? What creative's working? What creative do you need? Like, how much do you need? What copy do you need? Like, that stuff I think is so important, even if you don't do it yourself,
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I'm with you on that, because particularly as well, like me, I'm much more of like an energetic, creative person. I love talking about content or strategy or growth, but I'm not the type of person who can sit in front of an ads manager all day and push and pull this and work into that. So understanding it is crucial. You don't have to be the person that executes the nitty gritty every day. Understand a basic amount. And like we said, be able to drive strategy or talk strategy, what's working, what's not working, so you can keep people accountable. That's the basic level that you need for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So it sounds like, though, in the early days, you've done the media buying, or you've used agencies.
No, in the early days, we did it all ourselves. Yeah, probably for almost the first year, we did everything ourselves.
Yeah, that's the way I think to go. I think sometimes people find it intimidating and they want to outsource it. Same with Instagram growth as well. And like, I would never get anybody externally to work on that kind of stuff. Just as me personally, from my experience. You're the same, right? Like, you didn't use an agency for that, right?
No, never. Even influencer, like anything you can control, like you should control. You might not have the skills to be a media buyer, but don't give away the keys to your Ferrari to someone else. Because even if they do achieve great results, what has that given you? Like, you don't know what happened, how they did it. So I'm 100% with you with things like that. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the one product that does very, very well. Have you added any complementary products or any other flagship products in the past couple of years since inception?
So in October last year, we launched a Gen 2 version of our handset. So that's the only thing we've launched since then. So our product development process, given that it's what the product is, it's an IPL laser hair removal handset, there's a lot that goes into one of them. You can't design one and get it to market in a month or 2 months. So there was almost a year behind the scenes of working in that. And we're kind of the same attitude. We've probably had 10 products behind the scenes that we could have launched in the last 2 years. Some that would have been potentially other flagship products, some that would have been really great for LTV. But it just got to the point where, as heartbreaking as it is, you put months and months into a product and you just can't get it to the point of something you'd be proud to sell. And we've not done it. So we're actually really close now. This year is a big year for product launches for us. Some will be good for LTV, and another thing that we just want to focus on. So all our products, we're very picky with what we want to launch. We just want to make sure everything we do can help people feel good about themselves from their own home. Same principles as what we did with the handset, making things more affordable, more accessible. Anything we can do in that space, we'll do. It might not necessarily be in the hair removal space. We're probably going to step outside of that soon, because I'll tell you one thing, and this is something you don't realize when you first starting with the product that we did, like an IPL handset, was definitely not the easiest product to launch with. But that being said, we went through a lot of difficult things, and we know a lot about skin. We know a lot about technology and beauty. So we've not started with something simple. We've started with one of the more complicated products. And what that's given us is a really good understanding of what works with certain skin types, what doesn't, and how to engineer technology to get the best results, and what is a good product and what's not a good product. Because on the other side of, there's going to be people that pitch you really great marketing agencies. They're going to be manufacturers who really want to partner with you and say, oh, this product does this product does this, and you just have to test it before you launch it. And again, same thing, there's a lot that don't do what they say they're going to do. So
it sounds like you are working on new products, complementary and also flagships.
Both, yes, correct, yeah.
In the skin space, right? Because you've got the brand
space,
Happy
yeah.
Skin Co. So you might have a new product that's a flagship that solves another problem, not around your skin, but not hair removal.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we feel we understand. That's the space we feel comfortable operating in, and that's the way we're going to go.
Being pretty much a single brand product, getting it to sub 20 mil annually, that's pretty great focus. How do you know when to move on to the next product? Because I see some e-commerce store owners where they've simply actually got too many, and it's just more SKUs, more headaches, more things you got to send to different 3PLs, more costs, more stock on hand. It makes things more capital intensive. It's just much easier if you start with just one product, right? And just really focus and get it to, even past sub 1 mil. Yeah.
That was always the plan. And to be fair, we've definitely had planned to release more products. Like, we're almost 2 years in and we still haven't. We've obviously done the Gen 2, which was a complete upgrade on everything we possibly could. And that was a big project. But we always knew we're going to build a brand around one product. It's going to be easiest to manage. It's going to be the least capital that's needed up front. And also, you're not confusing the market at the start. If you can become famous for one thing, it's going to be a lot easier to get that brand resonance. People are going to remember who you are and what you stand for, and then you can add things into it. But I wouldn't add a massive product line to launch. It's going to be too difficult to manage. No one's going to really know who are these guys, what are they about. It doesn't make sense to me. So I always recommend starting with no more than 3 products at the start. Even if it's one product you're really confident in, that's what we did. That's what I'm sure like the teeth whitening guys have done. You can launch a successful business off one product, and that's actually what I would recommend.
I see. Yeah, I agree. And talk to me around Copycats. You've got some traction now, so I'm sure you're seeing people, and even like perhaps, I don't know what you did there, but sometimes these manufacturers, they supply to Copycats as well if you don't have any exclusivity, like arrangements and stuff. So tell me about that.
Yeah, well, that's something we know all too well about. That's been a big part of our first 2 years. It's actually, funnily enough, the first 6 months, there was none of it, right? Because everyone was so far behind. From about 6 months to 18 months, it was crazy. So there was a year in the middle where everyone was trying to launch whatever they could to try and copy us. People would blatantly rip off our content, our design, everything. That was really crazy for about a year because, like I said, that first product, we added to it and changed it, but we didn't create it from scratch. So we didn't own any IP around that. So there was a lot of competitors, like competing manufacturers as well, that could access their molds and do that. So there was a lot of that going around, but that's why we knew that was going to happen. We probably didn't know it was going to happen as aggressively as it did. That's why we almost, as soon as we could, started working on a product that was our own, that was bespoke, that was created by us. We owned every single bit of IP. And over the last 6 months, we've actually come out the other end of that because, like, a lot of people are probably they might have seen an article on us and thought, oh wow, they made how much money? I'm gonna do that. Or they saw what happened with teeth whitening and like, man, I really wish I did a teeth whitening business. And I saw that they're kind of waiting for that next big product category to come around, and everyone who ever thought of doing a drop shipping business kind of jumped onto it. And then it just isn't as easy as it looks from the outside. So now there's probably only a few competitors that are left. From at one point we had like over 100 on the list, and several of them ripping our content and stuff. And I actually had a brief chat to the High Smile guys at an event down in Melbourne, and obviously they'd gone through the same thing, and their advice was something that I learned the hard way myself. Is just, you got to, as hard as it is, not put too much attention onto it, because it does take away your focus from what you're doing. And And that was the best advice ever. Again, I'd kind of figured it out myself by then. But look, you do the minimum. Like you obviously put your takedowns in. You have someone monitor that space, but don't let it overcome you and your thoughts, and don't let it get you too frustrated, too angry, because there's nothing you can really do about it. That's always going to happen. And if anything, it's flattering to know so many people are trying to copy what you've done.
Yeah, I agree. It is difficult, and so that sounds like that's why you launched your next gen version, right? And now you
Yeah.
don't sell the original anymore.
Look, we still have that on at the moment. The reason we have that on is because look, our new product, it's definitely the premium product. So we have the old one that we still sell, which is actually $100 cheaper than the new one. So we wanted to keep that one in. It's at a much lower price, just for anyone who wants to go for that lower price point, or maybe doesn't want to spend that much money on hair removal. So we still have that there as the baseline product. It's got more, like thousands and thousands and thousands of happy customers on that one. It does the job. It's really good. But this one was just the upgraded next model. So we still have both, and we wanted to keep that in so people could still access it if they didn't want to go up to that $300 price point.
Yeah, no, that's all good. That makes sense. So talk to me around, like, you've had a dream run, to be honest. Like, yeah, that kind of growth is uncommon and rare, and it's really impressive. So talk to me, like, people watching this or listening might be thinking, oh, geez, he makes it sound so easy, right? Tell me what hasn't worked. Tell me what hasn't worked, and kind of the sacrifices you've had to make to get where you are today. Because, yeah, that kind of growth, yeah, not definitely common.
Yeah, in terms of sacrifices, to me, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice because this is truly what I want to be doing. But like, my schedule is pretty tight. Like, I don't have any leisure time weekdays. And maybe I'll get half a day to see my mates or hang out on a weekend. So leisure is one thing that definitely doesn't get a whole lot of time, but that's fine to me because I get true enjoyment and fulfillment because I know I'm building myself and I'm building my future. I'm just obsessed with the journey I'm on and where I want to go. So it actually doesn't feel like I'm sacrificing anything. And then one thing that I don't even really think about, but my friends like to joke about, is like probably relationships and dating. Like, I'm just so focused on where I want to go that if you want to be super successful, as you know, like, there's got to be an element of obsession to what you're doing. And I feel like that's the sacrifice you have to make, because even for me, I'm a very motivated person, but there's times I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to go to bed. It's like 10:30. I've been working since 8 a.m. and just want to go to bed. Like, it's almost too hard. And you just have to think about in those moments what you're doing it for, and why you're on this journey. Because there will be a lot of sacrifices. And like you said, it's not always easy. We've had as many things fail and go wrong as we have go right for us. No one sees behind the screens the failed ads that just tanked, the content that was horrible, the late nights trying to figure out problems. No one sees that. Everyone kind of sees what's on Instagram or this newspaper article or whatever. But you have to be prepared for a lot of really long nights, and you'll get through it if you're just listening to the market and always adjusting. But it's a full-time job. Like, one quote that I heard from one of my mentors is that, like, when you're a business owner, like, you're really a firefighter, because it's every day you're overcoming problems, and the bigger you get, the more problems you have, and that's something you got to be prepared for.
Yeah, 110%. Okay, awesome. Well, look, we'll work towards wrapping up, man. This was a great interview, a lot of gold shared. I appreciate just your openness, honesty, and yeah, just really laying it out, like your whole journey. You've had an incredible journey thus far, and I know it's just the beginning for you, man. So, where, like, two more questions. One, what parting words of wisdom would you like to share for anyone watching or listening that either want to start a business, or they're just about to launch something, or they've been doing it for a while in the e-com space? What advice, top 3 pieces you would give? And then where's the best place people can find out more about yourself and your work?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we haven't really spoken about today, but I truly think it's my secret weapon. It's what makes me. What I truly think a lot of the success is off the back of this. And that's, like, it's two things. It's self-belief, but like true self-belief in yourself, in the process, in the universe, in God, whatever you want to call it. Set your goals, and you need to truly believe that you can achieve them. And once I figured that out, it changed my life. Like, now I'm not anxious if the numbers go down for a week or if there's problems in my business, because I have so much trust in myself and the process and where I'm going, that it takes all that pressure off you. One of the biggest things, the biggest tools I use every single day, it's been a part of my life for probably 10, 15 years, and I didn't know it until the last couple of years. I learned about it consciously, not just subconsciously, and that's visualization. And I used to think back to that journey we had in those like 9 months building the business before we launched. And some of the clearest memories I have of that process was me and my mate at that park across the road from his house, talking about what we were going to achieve, those certain moments and milestones. And I was seeing it in my head, and I was living it. And I was chatting to another friend who I'm working on another business with, and he mentioned, I explained that to him, and I tried to give that advice of how I've got here. And there's this series called, I think, Rewired by Joe Dispenza, and he talks about when you're doing your visualization, one thing that's really going to make it so much more powerful is actually attaching the emotion to it. So it's like when I was thinking about these happy things, I wasn't just thinking them, like I was overcome with joy. Like sometimes there's tears coming out of my eyes. Like I truly, like, it's a full body experience, me living that. And that's the biggest thing I leave people with. I feel like if you want to be successful in business, there's 1,000 gurus, and a lot of them don't know what they're talking about, but a lot of them do. You can find information, whether it's on Foundr, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's podcasts, whatever it is, there's information out there. But if you start with building that mindset and that self-belief, everything will build on top of that. That's the biggest thing. Particularly, I know it's going to be difficult for a lot of people in times like this, but a lot of people are going to have time at home now. So it's a good time to look inside and reflect and build yourself, whether it's education, whether it's starting to meditate, whether it's letting go of negative thoughts. I feel like you need to start with yourself, and then everything else can build upon that. That's my main message. That's my main thing I want to leave people with.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, man. And where's the best place people can find out more about yourself and your work?
At the moment, yeah. So just on Instagram at the moment, Dylan Mullan. Website's coming, podcast is coming, all those sorts of lovely things. I probably have to get better at taking my own advice sometimes. I should have been on these things a lot quicker, but I'm by no means perfect. So yeah, at the moment, everything will be on my Instagram at Dylan Mullan. So anyone has any questions, again, I'm totally open to you asking, whether it's about influencer marketing, mindset, whatever. Flick me a message, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. So
awesome. And Happy Skin Co?
Yeah, that's everything. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook at Happy Skin Co. Our website is happyskinco.com. Pretty simple. You should be able to find us.
Awesome. Well, look, thank you so much for your time, Dylan. This is an awesome interview, and congratulations on all your success thus far, man.
Thank you. Hopefully when everything's back to normal, I'm usually down in Melbourne a lot. I'll pop in and we can catch up in person.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it'd be great. We'll catch up for sure. We'll do beers or something, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It was a really good chat. And thanks for everything you do and the content you put out for everyone in our space. Thank you.
The Foundr mission is to help you create an ass-kicking business and help you learn straight from the mouths of world-class founders. Get your free printed edition of Foundr magazine featuring Sir Richard Branson. Just cover shipping and handling at foundr.com/Branson.